Good morning and greetings from Northumberland. It's Thursday, the 23rd of September. It's a rather dark and cloudy morning, and we're promised a windy and a cloudy day. That's my weather report. I've been slipping on them recently. Today's gospel is quite perplexing. It's about Herod. Herod, seeing what's happening with Jesus, thinking about who Jesus is, and coming to the conclusion that Jesus, well, it really doesn't come to a conclusion about Jesus. He decides maybe he's not John the Baptist resurrected. Who is this person who says such things? Herod is perplexed, and Herod's a perplexing character. He obviously lived his life for his own profit, a client king of the Romans, whose job it was to exercise a certain amount of control and, if you like, to live the most luxurious life possible. He was like the sort of St. Matthew figure, but writ large, and we read of his decadence and his greed and his power seeking. And that's an interesting image because it's an image of one sort of human ruler. Decadence, greed, power seeking to make his office a way of making his life comfortable. I was interestingly read about Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, who'd been the leader of probably one of the most powerful European nations for 16 years. And in that time, she stayed in the same flat. She didn't buy any villas or places with swimming pools. And she was just as likely to turn up in an outfit that she'd worn 10 years ago as something new. And when questioned about this, she said, "I'm a civil servant. It's not my job to please fashion people." She had a simple philosophy of life, and although I wouldn't agree with all of her politics, there's no doubt that her method of leading the German people was full of integrity. And that's why she was recognized and applauded as she stood down. And Germany will face a time of readjusting at this time to see if the next leader is of the same caliber. She didn't try to fix things quickly. She didn't come up with harebrained schemes, but she was steadfastly determined to do her best as she saw it for the people of her country. That's an important thing to think about as we go into what is going to be a difficult winter. We all thought it was going to be a difficult winter because of COVID and the possibilities of it going wrong. But now we have the added problems of fuel supply and food supply and lack of drivers, and wondering how things really are going to go over the next 5 or 6 months. And in that we must pray for our leaders. But we need to pray that they're a bit more like Angela Merkel than King Herod. That these will be people who will set out over the next months a determined approach that is about the welfare of our country and of our fellow citizens, the welfare of the poor and the vulnerable, the welfare of those who will be challenged by these coming months, especially if it turns out to be a cold winter. And so we should always pray for our leaders and pray that God's Spirit and the love of Christ fills their hearts and that they are moved to compassion and care for all whom they are called not to rule, but to serve. Because the Son of Man came to give his life to serve many. May God bless us all.